Today, Christianity has over 2 billion followers worldwide. 2 millennia ago, it began with a single man, a marginalized Jewish carpenter executed as a criminal against the state. In the 1st century, the Roman Empire functioned as a total authority, where religion was synonymous with patriotism. Worshipping the state gods was a requirement of citizenship, and refusing to do so was prosecuted as treason. Jesus introduced a direct ideological threat to this order. He preached that the poor were blessed, that enemies should be loved, and that ultimate loyalty belonged to a single God rather than the emperor. For 3 centuries, this ideology made Christians a hunted underground sect. To follow the faith meant living with the constant risk of arrest, torture, and public execution in arenas like this one. It remains the most unlikely outcome of the Roman era. A powerless, persecuted sect operating in the shadows somehow ended up absorbing the very empire that tried to destroy it. The turning point arrived in 312 CE when Emperor Constantine legalized the faith, effectively ending the era of state-sanctioned persecution. Almost overnight, the cross was reclaimed. It transitioned from a sign of shameful execution to a militaristic emblem painted onto the shields of Roman legions. As the Church moved into the halls of power, it became the official state religion of Rome, accruing massive wealth and political influence along the way. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed, it left a massive political vacuum. The Bishop of Rome stepped into this void, taking on the role of civil leader to provide stability. This medieval church became the primary guardian of knowledge. It preserved ancient texts in monasteries and founded the first universities, becoming the intellectual framework of Europe. This ascent turned the church into a global superpower, but it came at a high price. The institution gained stability and wealth, but had to distance itself from the radical, anti-establishment message of its founder to maintain its new status. The tension between power and piety eventually led to the Crusades. A religion founded on the peacemaker's doctrine spent 2 centuries engaged in a series of brutal holy wars for territory. By the late Middle Ages, the height of institutional power brought deep internal corruption. Church offices were sold to the wealthy, and salvation itself was monetized through the sale of indulgences. These political and spiritual pressures caused the church to fracture. In 1054, the Great Schism permanently divided the Christian world into the Western Catholic and Eastern Orthodox traditions. In 1517, a monk named Martin Luther challenged the centralized power of Rome. He protested the church's focus on wealth and its claim to hold a monopoly over the spiritual life of believers. Luther's protest, known as the 95 Theses, utilized the printing press to spread his ideas across the continent, sparking the Protestant Reformation. The Reformation broke the church's singular grip on authority. For the first time, the Bible was translated into common languages, allowing everyday people to read the text without a priestly mediator. In response, the Catholic Church launched an internal cleanup and expanded globally, sending missionaries across oceans to establish the faith in new lands. By the end of this era, the unified map of Christendom was gone, replaced by the distinct Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant camps we recognize today. The history of this period proved that while a centralized empire can manage an institution, it struggles to contain a faith that is constantly evolving and fracturing. In the 18th century, the Enlightenment and the rise of secular states finally stripped the church of its political monopoly in the West, forcing it to redefine its role in society. Stripped of state power, many communities shifted their focus to social reform, fighting the poverty of the Industrial Revolution and working to abolish slavery. To remain relevant, major institutions attempted to modernize. The Second Vatican Council in the 1960s reformed Catholic practices, encouraging Mass and local languages to better engage with a changing world. This chart tracks global demographics into the 21st century. While populations in Europe and North America have largely stagnated, growth across the global South has surged, shifting the religion's demographic center. Today, the faith has moved away from its old centers in the West. It has returned to a grassroots movement, thriving in diverse local communities across the globe. Even amidst this modernization, ancient traditions and devotions continue to find deep roots in these new global contexts. 2,000 years of history suggests that Christianity's endurance has not depended on political empires or absolute power. Instead, the faith has often found its greatest momentum by moving back towards its origins, away from centralized control, and toward the marginalized roots where it first began.